Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Transatlantic Call-In Show. I have got a fancy new audio system, so I'm expecting many issues today, but hopefully it will still work and carry us through the show. Definitely give me feedback in the chat on how audio is coming through. It is August 7th here at the line at our in-house studio. Just kidding. There's no in-house studio. We're at our houses. Anyway, this is the show where you guys get to call in and talk to two trans people about all of your questions, anything and everything trans related. So please do, if you are, a trans person who's maybe a little bit confused about something, or an ally who maybe has a question that's like a little inappropriate to ask your friend or person you know, or if you want to debate the arguments of trans rights or like the foundations of some concepts in for lack of a better term, gender ideology, I guess, throughout the cookie crumbs for the people to give us some contentious calls. I am your host during the ship today, Arden Hart, and with me is, of course, Dr. Ben. How you doing, Dr. Ben?
I'm doing all right. I just got to see Arden a couple weeks ago. It was a great time.
Yeah.
And we're here ready to take some calls. So get your calls in before the lines fill up. Because they do fill up, so get them in now.
Yeah, absolutely. Ben and I got to hang out at NanoCon. It's not the first time Ben and I have met, but it was the first time I met like John Gleason and his wife in person, and Durante Lamar was the first time I met him in person with a couple of other people. But yeah, it's always so cool to get to hang out and spend some time with our team, because like, I don't know, we spend so much time together that when we're like in person, it's like, oh yeah, I forgot. Like, we're friends and we can just like hang out and it's real. It doesn't always have to be work,
Right. It's so funny because I think a few years ago when I was just kind of getting started, I think I met John at some atheist event, and I was just like, it's John. And then like, we're just hanging out. Same thing with you and Matt and stuff. Like, it's funny because you go to these places and you have people that are so excited to see you, and you're just like, I'm just a person hanging out. Like, what's up?
Totally. I always think it's funny too. So here's my general assessment of how everyone reacts to meeting you in person for the first time, like viewers particularly, is that the camera neutralizes all of our height and weight. So they're always like, anyone who's short looks taller, anyone who's tall looks shorter. So they're always shocked to see like your actual size and body proportions in real life. And it's always so funny to me how many times I've gotten like, oh, you're so much taller than I would have thought you were, or so much short. Like even somebody has said that I was shorter than they thought I was, which I was like, oh, that's interesting. But yeah. So we are going to get started on some calls here. Just a few little housekeeping things, and then we are going to move on to our poll before we take our first call, or we're going to read you guys out the polls. Obviously, the line is able to do these productions thanks to our supporters over on Patreon, patreon.com/calltheline. Our supporters there get access to ad-free episodes of The Line Has a Podcast, as well as monthly Q&As over on Zoom. And we're launching this month our first LineCon Online Live, which I pressure Jimmy to change it to LineCon Mini, okay? It's just too many L sounds, and I get that's part of the joke. The LineCon Online Live is basically going to be a thing for patrons of the $15 and up tier, where they get access to like mini conventions every single month, where people are going to be giving like 15 to 20 minute talks and some Q&A sessions, just so you guys can get a little bit more of like, I think so often we want to share the mic here that I know some of us will still go on lengthy rants, as we will today probably, but this will be a space that is like cut out for an unfiltered like 15 to 20 minutes for each host to talk about something that they're passionate about. So yeah, and it's going to be all tied to obviously themes that are relevant to the line. But you might get to hear like Aaron Adair talk about physics at length or something like that, rather than just kind of how it interfaces with a call. So please consider giving us your support there. That's patreon.com/calltheline. Now, if you guys don't know, here on TACIS, we do a weekly poll. And this is basically just kind of a conversation starter. It gives some callers something to get in on a conversation if they want to. Last week's poll with 4.5 thousand votes, wow, really low on the votes compared to normal, asks, is the closing of the Center for Trans Youth Health and Development in LA by hospital leaders tantamount to patient abandonment? So basically, this was a wing of the LA Children's Hospital that was dedicated to trans people and trans kids, giving them care. They, the hospital leaders, unbeknownst to many people on the actual staff, closed down, I think it was about a week or a little more ago, that whole wing of their hospital. And the AG in California even said that, like, hey, this is bad and wrong, and you could be abandoning patients potentially. So like, I don't think anything will actually come of that, legally speaking, but yeah, with 92% votes, or 92% of the voters said yes and 8% said no. The one thing I did see was somebody was like, oh, well, if they're closing it because of finances or legal stuff, then it's not a patient abandonment. But if they're doing it to appease a politician, it is. And I thought that was kind of weird, because I'm like, why? The methods by which a politician can pressure a hospital to close is through legal and financial means. So I don't really see how those are distinct. Like, I don't think anyone's here saying, like, we should abandon all the other kids because the trans kids aren't getting care now, right? Like, obviously, triage, give the medicine to the kids who need it, who we're still allowed to give it to. But yeah, what are your thoughts, Ben?
Yeah, this is a situation where there's widespread patient abandonment in general. Like, just based on what the government is doing as far as revoking funding, especially for rural hospitals. Like, we have that whole situation of rural hospitals just shutting down because of the cuts to Medicaid. And we're also, I'm curious to see how that's going to affect like residency positions, because resident physicians are paid like through Medicaid. Like, that's what pays for residents. And so we have this physician shortage. We have this huge backlog. We have medical students that are graduating that can't get residency positions. And so we continue to have that shortage. And that is, like you're saying, a method of political pressure put on, our entire health system to get them to follow along with the current agenda. And so, yeah, the reasons for why this wing of the hospital closed could be any number of these reasons, but it doesn't really matter, because it's still, the objective was still met by whoever did that situation. Like, they still closed down something that was supporting trans youth. And this is the same abandonment that you're having with shutting down of rural hospitals. Like, it doesn't matter what the reason is, you are revoking a service that is needed. And that is going to lead to people not getting essential care. So yes, I would agree.
Yeah, definitely a big bummer. It's just, we're really getting put into a bind. I feel really bad for healthcare providers in this world. How can you really be giving good medicine if you're always treading so carefully to avoid angering the wrath of people who don't understand medicine at all and have a lot of big feelings about it? Yeah, it's really horrifying. I mean, they're shutting down, like, research in the EPA, and they're shutting down all research on mRNA vaccines, which is like so fucking stupid. Like, there's so many treatments that's going to implicate, and this is all because of the COVID conspiracy theories, right? And so now they're going to, like, people are almost certainly going to die because they're not going to access treatments that were developed. It's, yeah. Anyway, we could be ranting here all day about that. So that was last week's poll. This week's poll, and a version of this is going to be going up in the chat right now, is: do you feel like politicians who let, quote, local communities make decisions about your rights are fighting for you? So we're not going to dig into this one right now. I want to give chat the chance to give me their thoughts on this, and we're going to take a call in the meantime, and then we'll hear what you guys have to say. So that poll is up right now. All right, Ben, are you ready for some of these calls?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, let's see what we got. Let's talk to line 3-2 there. Start with It's a little chill, but that's all right. We're going to talk to Impish, pronouns they, them in Canada, is confused as to whether or not they are trans and is looking for some advice. So, Impish, you are live on the line with Arden and Dr. Ben. What's going on?
Hi. I put in the description, I'm 37 years old. I'll be 38 this September. And the short version of this is I'm in the middle of discovering myself and who I am, what I like, do I really like these things? And I'm trying to figure out my gender. And I feel like at my age, I feel like I should know this, but I still feel confused as to it, and I'm just trying to figure out, like, is this a transgender thing, or is this just another way of just being, or not a transgender thing, or I'm very confused. So I'm looking for advice.
You want to start, Dr. Ben?
Yeah. Like what specific things are you thinking about kind of being on this fence for you?
Well, I'm trying experimenting in my own way, and what I mean by that is, I was born a female at birth, and right now using they them pronouns. That's a recent pronoun change for me, using they them, and I like it. And I might change my pronouns again in the future. I don't know right now. I've been trying men's clothes. So far, I like men's polo shirts. I like those the best. And I have made a male version of myself on The Sims. Like, I made a male Sims character of what I think I would look like as a male, and I liked it. And so that's just my way of experimenting, if that's what you mean by that question.
Yeah, is there anything, like, let's take the game example. Are there times when you play as that character and then you go back to reality and feel kind of upset that you're not that person all the time?
I mean, yeah, because I can cheat in the game. Because I can just buy things or do whatever, give myself $1 million. But other than
Well, yeah,
that
but
kind of thing,
with respect to the gender, though, like, is that body the body that you'd want? Is that the name that you would want? Like, is that character that you've made, is that a person that you feel like you are or would want to be?
yeah, it actually does. Like, I feel like I look at it and I feel like in another time or timeline, that would be me. If
Yeah, that's a very similar experience to my coming out. I know Arden and I were kind of sitting backstage, like, as your call was coming in, and we're like, "Oh yeah, there's a lot of trans people will go through this mental gymnastics in our heads of like, I'm not really trans, but I have this character that is the opposite gender, and I really just want to be them all the time." Or we'll make these excuses of like, "Oh, but I'm not trans," but lists out definition of trans person. Um, and so it's definitely something we can't make the decision for you on whether or not to take on a trans label, a non-binary label, etc. That's up to you. But from what you're telling us, there are some indicators there that you might be leaning in the correct direction for yourself.
Yeah. I think the only thing I would really add on to that, Impish, is that like an advice that I give to a lot of people in your position is to not stress so much about the destination, not stress too much about the labels. Like, and I think Ben was kind of touching on this, like we obviously can't tell you, oh, that makes you non-binary, oh, that makes you transmasculine or trans man or something like that. But what we, can do is say like, what if you were to be able to align yourself more closely to the character that you've made that you like for yourself, like what things would you change? And could you do those in the real world? And would you actually want that? And like, let's imagine, for example, that like top surgery was one of those things, right? You're like, oh, I kind of wish I had a flat chest. And like, so you get top surgery. Even if you, at the end of that, think you're still a woman, that's okay. You can, if you needed to go through that experience to find out that you actually just like have a problem with breasts and that you'd rather be flat chested, that's also an okay outcome. But if at the end of that, you're like, yeah, I'm a trans man, that's also okay. And if you say I'm non-binary, that's also okay. Like the destination is really not the important part. It's you feeling good in your skin and happy with the life that you're living that I think is the important thing here. So yeah, I would definitely encourage you to just consider like to stress less about the destination, less about the label, and like more about what is it with your life that you wish was more like that other person, and what can you do about it, and just kind of work from there.
Right. Yeah. And I would agree. And as Dr. Ben was saying, I feel like I also was giving myself list of excuses of why I might not be, because I still love Disney movies. I still love rom-coms. I still wear like summer dresses in the summer. Like, and to me, those are very like feminine things, although I don't feel like they should be labeled that way. But to me, it feels like it. So I feel like, well, can I say that I'm trans? Am I really maybe not though? Like, if I still like this stuff, you know what I mean? Like, it's confusing.
I think so. When I hear that, what it sounds like to me is a fear that if you think you are trans, but you still want to like wear a dress or something, that somebody else is going to have a problem with that. And to me, that's the flaw in that thinking. Like sometimes there are men who wear dresses, and sometimes I know plenty of men who love both Disney and rom-com movies. And if you're non-binary, then you're kind of absolved from all of that, right? I mean, like you get to decide what box you're kind of like drawing the box around the traits that you are, not necessarily like putting yourself in a box. So, yeah, I think, I don't know. Those things shouldn't be deterrents from you being who you are, if that's what you really want. And if you end up finding out that you're like, you said you were assigned female, if you end up finding out that like you think you're actually just a cis woman who wants to like masculinize themselves to a certain degree, that's also okay. Like, it's really important that people understand gender affirming care has no prescribed destination for people. It's really about you feeling comfortable.
Right. Well, thank you. Both of your words have been very helpful. So, thank you.
Awesome. I'm glad we were able to help, Impish. Let us know if there's anything else we can help you with, okay?
All right, and thank you so much to you both.
Yep, you too. Bye.
Yeah, thanks for your call.
Bye.
All right. That was a relatively fast call. Let's take another one before we hit the poll, maybe.
We got some spicy ones. We got two spicy ones.
I didn't check since
at the bottom. Yep.
Okay. Oh boy. All right.
Which one do you want?
Oh gosh. Either of those could be interesting. Which do you feel? I mean, I guess maybe 7-5 is a better segue into the poll question.
Yeah. I think we can do that first, and then yeah.
All right, so we are going to talk to Will. Pronouns are he, him, out of California. Will says that sports should be segregated by sex, not by gender. Says males have an advantage. So, Will, you are live on Transatlantic with Arden and Dr. Ben. What's going on?
Hey, what's up, guys? How you doing?
Doing all right.
Hey.
All right, tell us where you're coming from.
First of all, can I ask, why would it be spicy? Why would this call be spicy?
It's pretty much we consider spice pretty much anyone who's maybe contentious on the lines of like typical trans rights positions. So this one's why we're going to be more inclined towards disagreement than with like example, the last caller who was just looking for advice.
Yeah, I was going to say, I don't mean it in like a bad way. I just, I think it should be separated by sex instead of gender.
Yeah. Tell us why.
What's your reasoning?
I think males generally have an advantage in sports over, biological females. So I think it's pretty
What specific advantages?
Hormone, testosterone, excuse me. Muscle
but what
mass,
does that do?
strength,
Does testosterone
cardiovascular capacity, lung capacity?
Well, does testosterone universally improve all attributes in all sports?
Okay, and that's what males have, though.
I'm not disagreeing with that. I'm asking, do you think that testosterone is a magic potion that gives you the ability to win at every single aspect of every single sport? Or do you think that there's maybe some
No,
nuance
I don't
there?
think it's not magical. It's just naturally gives an advantage.
So
My
that's
point,
the fact.
Will, is that there are different attributes that are required for sports, correct?
Yes.
So, like, there are different sports that require different things, and testosterone can cause some advantages in some areas, but I would argue will also cause disadvantages in other areas. An example being flexibility.
Like what?
Another example being like aerodynamically, if you're larger and have greater surface area, it might be harder for you to run like at certain speeds. So does that kind of make sense of why this is maybe more of a nuanced question?
Yeah, that makes sense. But do you think that biological males should be playing with biological females? Yes or no?
Do you think that trans women
Why can't you answer
have
that?
the
Though?
same
Will,
traits?
chill.
Will, do you think that trans women have the same traits as cis men? Do you think that they are equivalent?
Say that one more time. Sorry.
Do you think that all trans women are
Yes.
biologically the same as cisgender men?
No, because nobody is the same in anything ever. Everybody's different.
Right, and that's a great point.
But
I'll
I'm
let
talking
Arden jump in
generally.
here too.
Generally.
yeah,
Generally.
so Will, I think it's important to note that like we don't disagree and trans rights don't disagree. Trans people writ large don't disagree with the notion that there are very obviously, when we're looking at populations, general trends, differences in athletic performance between males and females, right? But the problem is that the solutions to these things are things like you said, where you're saying you said biological males, I would say assigned male at birth should be allowed to play with anyone who is assigned female at birth. But that's using general population level trends to assign individual people into categories. So what we advocate for here is, rather than blanket bans or blanket inclusions, policies that are going to evaluate the factors that are actually relevant to success in that sport and to evaluate each athlete on an individual basis.
Yeah, well, it's not. I don't think they should be banned. I think they should just play in their sex instead of their gender.
But that
I don't
is
think anyone
functionally
should
what
ban.
that is, though, right? So
Why
that's
would
the
playing
problem.
in your and Will, so what you're doing here, instead of evaluating the specific traits that give an advantage, you are going with their sex assigned at birth, which, as I was trying to get to in the beginning, the sex assigned at birth does not equal all of those traits.
Yeah.
Right? So let's say you have a trans girl who starts puberty blockers and hormone therapy during adolescence. So this person never achieves the so-called biological advantage of a testosterone puberty. Should that person still have to compete with cis men? Would they still have to be in a men's division?
I I guess that's a good question. I feel like maybe there should be like a trans league.
Well, that's
Why?
not a realistic solution, right? Because trans people are
Why?
1% of the population. So trans people wouldn't be allowed to play sports if we did that.
Yeah, and why not is not a reasonable response, Will.
So what would you guys
So here's
do?
the thing, Will. No,
What
so
would
here's
you
the
guys
thing.
told
do
you.
though? Why can't
This
you just
decision-
answer that?
Will,
I already told
listen to
you.
me.
Go ahead,
Listen, Will. So here's the problem. You have two people here on the screen who have read a lot of the body of research contributing to our position on this matter. And
Yeah, you're a doctor,
your
right?
disagreement is
say that all
literally
the
just
time.
no, but your argument thus far has literally just been why not. So if you're going to make a claim that
No,
that
it's not
you
why not.
compete in their
That-
biological sex, as you say,
Males
then
have
you should
males
give.
have an
Will,
advantage.
you're just
period.
talking over me. Will, are you going to listen, or are we going to have to mute you?
You can mute me if
This
you
is a
want. I'm listening,
conversation,
though.
right?
There's a delay.
Okay, but that means you have to be quiet and let me finish my thought. So your
Okay, you've been talking the
rebuttal,
whole time, but go ahead.
Will, your rebuttal has been why not, which is not it's not in support of your position. if you're going to make the statement that trans women should have to compete with cis men, you have to provide reasons for that. You have to say that you have a good reason for a general rule to be put in place and for everybody to have to compete under that. And your response was, your reason was, why not? And that is not a good reason.
No, my reason is
give us a better reason.
My reason is that males have an advantage.
Except as we just pointed out, and you agreed to it, not all people assigned male have this same advantage, which is why, as we said, we're advocating for positions where individual athletes are evaluated and blanket bans are not the solution to any of this, meaning that some trans women are going to compete in the women's category, probably most of the time based on the data that I've seen, but maybe sometimes they're going to compete in an open category. And maybe sometimes I've known some trans women who are comfortable competing in the male category. I wouldn't want to pressure anyone into feeling like that has to be the solution, but I want individual athletes to make the decision based on actual data relevant to what's helping them gain an advantage or lacking one in that specific sport. Blanket bans, or blanket assignment, all males have to compete together, or all females have to compete together, or no trans women are allowed in sports, or no trans men are allowed in sports. These are not actual solutions, and they don't help. They don't protect fairness or help protect women from violence or anything like that, right? There's actual evidence of things that relate to fairness in women's sports. A lot of this has to do with their access to funding and the kind of training they can access when they're children. Those are way more relevant factors in a lot of cases than their assigned sex.
Okay, so just basically go by the individual, each person gets evaluated.
There's certain criteria.
Differently.
Yep.
Yeah, certain criteria get put in place, sure. And if you meet this criteria, then you get to compete in that division. But we also support that these categories have to be universally standardized. So if you're using testosterone levels as a criterion to assign a group, then cis women also have to be subject to that. Cis men also have to be subject to that. So if you're going to play this biological game, you're going to have to broaden who falls under these rules. And so you're going to have to kick people out of the sport or kick people into other divisions outside of their sex category based on the factors that you think are biologically relevant. If you are using the argument that testosterone or other biological factors are what should put you in those categories.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that makes sense. If they decide, whoever runs these sports decide they want it to go, individually, I guess that's fair. Yeah.
Yeah,
I really don't have a problem with that.
Yeah.
My position and most trans activists I talk to are right on line with that position. But yet all of these leagues being pressured by Donald Trump and by the conservative administrations, in the UK as well. Their Labour Party government is pressuring sports organizations to enforce blanket bans, which, as we've discussed, are just going to be unfair and discriminatory without actually protecting fairness, without actually protecting women. It doesn't do anything. Yeah. It just excludes trans people. That's all it accomplishes, which is why we advocate for what we advocate for. I don't agree with that. How does it protect women if not everyone has those advantages? Who is it protecting? What fairness is it protecting?
Oh, no, sorry. I misspoke. I'm saying I agree with you on that.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Yeah. And Will, I wanted to bring up...
Oh, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, yeah. I want to bring up another point too, because just with the initial premise of sex categories, a lot of people ignore the fact that there are trans men who are taking testosterone, but who were assigned female at birth. So if somebody is in that position, should they still have to be in a women's category, even though they have certain advantageous characteristics?
I mean, that's actually a pretty good question. I don't know. I didn't really think about that.
Yeah, these are the problems you get into when you start trying to essentialize people by their sex that they were assigned at birth. It catches you in all of these crazy webs that are just so unnecessary. If we just say, hey, sports is a human right. That is in the Olympic Charter. It's the fourth principle that access to sports is a human right. How do we make sure that as many people are able to compete fairly and competitively as possible? That would mean never excluding anyone or any group of people in a blanket ban for a trait that they may or may not have.
I mean, yeah, that definitely makes sense.
Cool. Yeah. I appreciate you agreeing with our position. If you saying that makes sense, then I don't really know what else to dig into. Do you have any other thoughts,
that's
Ben?
Good.
Yeah, no, that's pretty much it. Thank you for calling in, Will. I'm glad that we kind of got somewhere with this call.
Yeah. Thanks for being a trans rights activist.
Yeah,
I appreciate you.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. Have a good one.
You too. Oh my God. Somebody who called into that position was actually open to information. I am
incredible.
My brain is exploding.
That's great.
We love to see it. I'm like, we've had that exact conversation with so many people in Will's position who will agree to everything we said like Will did, but then still say, no, it still needs to be sex segregated. And so it's like shocking to me when somebody is like, oh no, yeah, that makes sense. Okay.
See, that is intellectual honesty right there. Like that is somebody who evaluated their position is like, oh, actually, I need to think about this more.
Yeah. And if he brought a better argument, like it could have changed us. It's like intellectual honesty. We're not saying when you agree with us, that's intellectual honesty. It's that like taking in that information and being like, oh, that's actually true. And that conflicts with my worldview. Therefore I need to update my worldview. That's intellectual honesty. All right, let's well, this is a good way to segue into our poll. I thought I was going to be way more pissed off segueing into this poll, but wow. Right. Also, I realized the chat poll has a typo that makes it unintelligible, so I apologize to chat. Thank you guys for understanding what I mean in spite of this. So yeah, this week's poll is, do you feel like politicians who let, quote, local communities make decisions about your rights are fighting for you? Most of you guys understood it. 85% said no in the poll, 15% said yes. So basically, this is in response to Pete Buttigieg recently came out and was doing the both sidesism on trans athletes thing. And a lot of people called him out on it. And basically, his response was to double down and say that we need to listen to people on all sides of an issue, and that this is fundamentally, he said he wouldn't support a blanket federal ban on trans athletes, but that this is something that local communities and sports leagues should be deciding. The problem with that, in my view, I think a federal law that prevented trans people from being unilaterally banned, that would be something I would love to see. If sports leagues are going to do like we just talked about with Will, and they're going to have some objective criteria that evaluates fairness in competition, and they're applying that standard to all athletes equally, then that would be great. But when you just say, let local communities and sports leagues figure it out, what happens is that people in the South, people in states that aren't favorable to trans rights, get banned from competition with no justification. So you aren't really letting local communities sorting it out. You are letting the people in those red communities hang out to dry with no action or no sort of like path for recourse or to like improve their situation. So that is just insufficient to me. I like Pete's position a lot better than Gavin Newsom's, I will say. The fact that he has outwardly said he's opposed to a federal ban. But I mean, like I said yesterday, when our options are between getting stabbed in the ribs or being kicked in the ribs, like Pete just kind of like shoves you down. So it's like, sure, that's still less bad than getting kicked in the ribs, but not a lot. I don't know. What are your thoughts, Ben?
Right. It's like this whole thing where people, at least the MAGA, thinks that the Democrats are actually left leaning. Like they're just showing more and more like this is not the left. Like this is MAGA light in a lot of cases. And yeah, exactly what you said. Like just not having the worst position isn't what we should be striving for. We should be having a good position. And yeah, it's definitely, he's definitely just trying to cover his ass. I think like he's trying to appeal to everybody, all the voters, which is typical politician. Like that's how they work. That's how they get elected. But like that is not allyship. That is not progress. We need to fight harder. And Buttigieg is one of those that like I used to have some more hope for,
Yeah.
but he like everybody else is showing just how disappointing their action actually is. Like their words even used to be a lot stronger in favor of allyship, but just the farther we get, the more diluted the message becomes.
Yeah. And I think kind of to your note too of like that's how they get elected. I think that has historically how they've been getting elected, but I think like what I've seen from some of the things that's happening post November, right? In, you know, the kind of new landscape we're in has been that both sidesing has actually been causing the Democrat support to plummet. And it's like what really has been helping people is somebody who's willing to stake out a position and say, this is how I feel about this issue. If it makes you upset, you know, we'll find a way to navigate. We live together. We have to find a way to navigate it, but I'm not going to compromise on my positions or my values because you want to impose your worldview on other people. And I think that would be so much stronger. I think really a politician who could come out swinging for trans people, but also had like a really progressive populist economic agenda, I think would sweep. I think would have no problem completely dominating the polls. But you know, it's they're trying to follow the Kamala Harris path, and like look what that got us. Like look where we are. This is the result of that approach to politics, and it's not good for anyone. So yeah, I really hope. I would just love to be in an office with these people once to like tell them like, I've never heard anyone articulate my view, and maybe my view is shit. You know, that is obviously a possibility. But like, I really feel like there's such a reasonable position in saying no blanket bans. Let's evaluate athletes on an individual basis according to like objective criteria. That's going to be maximally inclusive and maximally competitive at the same time. Like, it doesn't mean everyone gets to compete because sports are a meritocratic system. Like it genuinely is your ability to be a good athlete. And that is determined often by a lot of social factors, not purely biological ones, but it's a meritocracy, right? It's like, how good can you compete in this sport? And it's so weird to me that Democrats just don't jump on that. They take the weakest position in so many cases, and it's just really sad to me. So yeah, if you didn't get to vote on this in the chat poll, you can go to our community tab, vote there, leave us some comments, tell me what you think. Would love to hear from you guys. But until then, we do have other callers on the line. So yeah, I guess 86, is that the next one?
Yeah, I think so.
All right. We're going to talk to Grace, pronouns are she and her, out of Missouri, who wants to know why people can't be transracial or trans species. So Grace, you are live on the line with Arden and Dr. Ben. Tell us what's going on.
Hey, Arden. Hey, Dr. Ben. Can y'all hear me okay?
Yep.
All right, good deal. So being transgender makes sense to me, but being transracial, or even like I've seen on TikTok, like there were Therians talking about identifying as like foxes or squirrels and making masks and things. I don't understand how, I'm really trying to be respectful too. I don't understand how it's not equally valid.
Yeah. So I mean, being transracial and being a Therian are two kind of different things. I would say to the Therian thing, I am not one. I don't actually know anyone who is one, but I know our other host, Lux, who's on this channel, it knows some people who would consider themselves Therian. I think it knows them personally, but Lux has a particularly good response to this, which is that in their experience, most people who identify as like a fox or any of those kinds of things, it seems to be less a literal belief that they are a fox and more of a sort of way of bucking social traditions and kind of saying like, I don't like any of the system that us humans have set up. And so I'm kind of rejecting the whole thing. I'm sure there are people, like this is the problem with the internet, is you can find people who sincerely will claim anything. So like, I try not to assume that the most egregious or ridiculous example of something is representative of like the whole. And And that is a more like nuanced thing that I've heard from other trans people. I don't actually know almost anyone who holds one of these identities themselves. And that's kind of what I've heard other people represent on their behalf. But again, I don't actually know any Therians, and I've been like a trans activist for a while now, and I still haven't met any, which feels like it indicates that this is like a thing that almost doesn't exist outside of online spaces. As far as being transracial, and then Ben can hop in on this too. I'm sorry, I'm monopolizing the call so far. Being transracial, so like race is like a heritable phenotypic thing, right? Like we're talking about like a social construct that society puts on the color of someone's skin. So to me, it's different in the sense that like we have lots of social constructs, money, the way we think about time, gender, race, these are all social constructs, but obviously none of them are the same, right? And when it comes to race, since this is something that's actually like a heritable phenotypic thing, I'm not sure that it lands the same way as gender identity does, which is not, as far as we can tell, like a completely heritable thing. Obviously, it's very heavily correlated with someone's biological sex, but we know that's not all the time. And there's actually really good bodies of data on that. There's no such bodies of data on transracialism. So that's kind of where I would say that I don't think there's actually good evidence to support the notion of this thing. From the people who have claimed it, I've heard mostly like they grew up in an area with lots of people of color and they identify with Black culture as kind of the line. But Ben, did you have thoughts you want to jump in on that with?
Yeah, it's a big thing with the transracial argument that a lot of people will confuse race and culture because culture is something, number one, that it transcends your body. It's who, like the people you live around, the culture that you learn. Like culture is learned. Race is not learned. And like Arden was saying, race is a social construct in a very different way. And there's a lot of oppression that goes along with this. And of course, there's oppression that goes along with gender as well, but it's different. And it's something like, especially racial oppression is something that like passed down through families. You have issues with epigenetic changes that happen with, especially with Black Americans whose family tree goes back into the time of the slave trade. You have genetic changes that have happened because of oppression and maltreatment of these people. And so there's certain things that while race doesn't really exist as a physical thing, the effects of racism do exist. And so if we're using labels to, like Arden often says, using a label to like express a equivalent oppression that you're going through, it's kind of icky in a way to say that you identify with like a Black family that has been through an immeasurable amount of suffering like throughout their family tree, when maybe you grew up in an area with Black people. Like it's something that people I think are more meaning to be cross-cultural or multicultural, and that's different. You can be multicultural, you can adopt social norms of another place, of another people group without changing your body at all. And it's kind of weird when you're changing your body, like if you try to change your skin color, try to change your eye shape, etc., because you identify with a certain cultural group. And I think that's where the difference is. And I'm sure this is a highly nuanced topic, and I wish we had somebody from like a racial minority here to talk more about their perspective about it. But at least I think that's where kind of we come from on this.
What are your thoughts on all that, Grace?
I definitely get it. I definitely get the X factor that Dr. Ben was describing. I just don't get it from a logical standpoint. It seems to me like gender is very complex, but race is an even more complex kind of moving target. So I imagine if you were to identify as a different race and tried to surgically make it happen, it would, or whatever kind of, I don't know, I'm not a doctor, I'm sorry. I imagine it would be much, much harder, but I just in principle, it seems to me like it's that strong feeling of identity that you would get from within. I'm cisgendered, so I really don't know what the internal experience is like of a transgender person. And I've had a few transgender students. I've never had a transgender or a trans race or whatever student or a Therian student. So I definitely understand the ick factor and like the yuckiness around someone kind of trying to almost do like this kind of like stolen valor or something and take on the whatever of another group. So I get the ick. It just still in my brain logically, it still seems valid.
I understand. I mean, part of it is because, you know, I think when we're talking about identity, we're talking about like personal psychological constructs. Just the difference is like we have a pretty well-established body of literature evaluating that gender identity as a psychological construct that exists in the mind, whereas we don't really have any such body of evidence suggesting that race is a psychological identity structure. I think more what Ben was talking about, it's like the identity component is the cultural thing, which is like, you know, the people you were raised around. But like when you, even if you're a white person who maybe has that sort of cultural identity internally, when you go out into society, people are going to see you as white and they're going to treat you as white. And that's not the same for a black person, right? So it's like there really is this phenotypic thing that I think is like really relevant to the like difference between these two things. Whereas like gender is not like it's not the same, right? It's not a gender identity anyway. This is like a psychological construct that we don't really know why it is the way it is, but we don't really know why most things about someone's identity are the way they are. Like we don't really know why I like the flavors of ice cream that I like and why the ones that you like are so different from the ones that I like. We don't know why people have like agreeable versus like less agreeable personalities. Like we know certain things that are correlated with them, but there's lots of examples of people who don't fall in line with that sort of correlation. So it's I think a lot more nuanced in that way than it is with race. But I do understand what you're saying, and I understand why this argument captures so many people. I think it's intuitively on its face, it seems very similar, but I think the like heritability phenotypic aspect is what really separates it so heavily. However, if there was a body of evidence that came out that said, and listen, I'm white, so, you know, people of color who are listening who are like, bitch, shut the fuck up, like, that may be what I need to do. So, but I'm going to step in it anyway. If a body of evidence came out suggesting that there is a stable construct of like a racial identity internally, psychologically, and that, you know, transing that getting some sort of way to modify your physical appearance benefited both society and the individual in some meaningful way, that I don't really know what grounds I would have to be opposed to it. But yeah, as of right now, no such no such body of evidence exists. So.
Okay, that makes better sense to me. In my mind, I'm imagining maybe if there were a time when there wasn't rampant racism, and maybe the ick factor wasn't there so much, and science advanced in some kind of way that we could start identifying these things, that maybe that, and if there were people that actually felt that way internally, that maybe that would be a thing eventually.
I mean, I think something too, like
you're sharing with me.
Well, like I think too, if they start evaluating, you know, children like before they're at an age where they're really exposed to what race is as a concept, I think we and this is a hypothesis because again, there's not a lot of evidence out there, but our understanding, kind of as we know it, you establish your gender identity at a very, very young age. And it's something that, if we had children in a certain environment, my hypothesis is that you would see gender identities emerge like from these kids without being prompted to do so. I don't think we would see the same thing from children based on race. Like, I think race is something that we put on children, like we were saying before. If we were to put people totally unaware of the concept in the same environment together, would that concept develop in the same way that gender identity does? I'm sure they would find ways to notice, hey, yeah, you look different than me, but would it end up being something more than, hey, she has brown hair, I have blonde hair, like, or would it develop into what we know as like race as a concept today? It's just something to think about.
Okay. I think you all have given me a lot more to think about. I appreciate you taking me seriously because I really feel like I sound bigoted when I ask this question, but I'm really trying to understand.
I was bracing for someone way more hostile than you, Grace. I'll be so real. I was like, oh boy, here we go. And then you were great. So no, I appreciate you coming in like genuinely curious.
Yeah, honestly, I was hoping I could catch you and Jovan together. I've heard him kind of explain it and the whole idea of race being something sort of put upon people.
Yeah.
I don't know much about history, but I know it was just all the races were just made up by one white dude to give white people more power.
No, Jovan honestly has brought in that concept in a way that I hadn't really heard articulated before. So I love hearing when he gets in on this topic, and definitely like we said, to white people. So please take everything we say with this topic with like a super small grain of salt.
Yes, I gotcha. Well, I really appreciate hearing your perspective. Thank you for taking the time to talk to me.
Yeah, thanks. Have a good day, Grace. Thanks for calling in.
Thanks, you too. Bye-bye.
Bye. Alrighty. Quick shout out, if Matt is listening, I would love a glass of water. If not, I'm going to have to go get one myself after this call. I did shoot you a message on Facebook, but I don't know if you're actually watching. Okay.
Water fairy.
Yes, I chugged an energy drink, which of course means I'm dehydrated now. And usually I have water with me because I've got that ADHD thing where I have like my caffeine drink, my dopamine drink, and water all at once so I can get my needs met.
The void.
Yes.
The void.
The void. All right. So just a quick reminder before we take our next call. I am closing lines now because we've got 5 callers on the line, which is going to take us a while to get through. We are going to read super chats at the end of all this. Any super chat of $5 or more, we're going to read out live. And if you include hashtag Team Arden or hashtag Team Ben, that will be a point towards our competition. Whoever gets the least amount of points has to spend 2 minutes defending some silly position. I don't have those sorted out yet. I'll get those in a chat poll and you guys can pick which one you want us to vote for. But let's take a call. So this call, I don't think is going to be too long because it doesn't really look like this person has a question. But I do want to talk to, this person's been on the line the longest. Let's talk to Aria, she, her in Oklahoma. So Aria, you are live on the line with Arden and Dr. Ben. Real quick before we get started, what we have in the screener here isn't really much of like a question. So I'm wondering, like, short of like, having you like monologue about your topic, if you could just kind of like give us the best that you like, the shortest version you can, and then we'll give you our thoughts and see where we go from there. Okay. Awesome.
My main topic that I didn't express it very clearly when I was writing it, but it's mostly that the talking points that I've heard from a lot of far right talking heads about authoritative parenting methods. I was a bit curious about both of your stances on like the way that people go about parenting, because from my experience, authoritative parenting tends to have a lot of, well, their rhetoric is things like my house, my rules, you don't get a say. If you want to say, you have to move out. And my father was that kind of parent. So it delayed me like expressing who I was until I was like well into my 20s.
Yeah. I just real quick, because this is just like a little thing that I have from a background in psychology. With regard to parenting, there's actually a really important distinction between authoritative and authoritarian. What you're talking about to me sounds like more of an authoritarian parenting style. That is usually more of the my way or the highway. If you don't listen to me, then you can get out. Authoritative is more of there are strict rules and strict expectations, but usually that's more paired with engaging with the child. Like, hey, I noticed I laid down these rules and you didn't listen to them. Can we talk about why and talk about what a fair punishment? Like, it's very like reciprocal. There's like a sort of discussion happening, so it's very still restrictive, but more listening to the child as well. So just to be clear, I think you're talking more about an authoritarian style under that method than authoritative. Would that be correct?
Yeah, absolutely correct. I mixed up the terminology.
That's okay. Common parlance, those terms are the exact same, but you happen to stumble into a topic where those two terms, it's only in this world, this very niche world about psychology and parenting, where those two terms like have disparate meanings. So it was just worth clarifying. Yeah, I mean, this is like well understood in like child development and like family psychology that authoritarian parenting is usually associated with a lot of negative outcomes for the child, because there's no communication to the child. Like, why are these rules being enforced? Are they actually for my good, or are they just because you say so? Is this because you want to protect me, or because you just like having control over a small person? Yeah, it's definitely a lot more toxic and leads to a lot of negative outcomes for the child, whether they are trans or not. Like, this is how you get toxic people in general, right? People who think it's okay to treat people poorly. So that's kind of where I'm coming from. Ben, I heard you click clackety. I don't know if you're Googling stuff to jump in on this, but
No, I was arguing with somebody inside chat.
Oh, okay. Nice.
About the last call. I don't have a whole lot to weigh in on this specific topic. Like, definitely, there's a lot of factors with how you're raised and like how parenting styles influence the person you are and the choices you make and stuff. I've never been a parent, and I don't ever plan on being a parent. So I don't have as much to maybe weigh in on this one.
Yeah, how does all that respond to what you were thinking, Arya?
Yeah.
It all makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
I think one thing that frustrates me is a lot of the people who give those talking points are also the same people who say that you're protecting the children is why you're not allowed to like expose them to this and that ideology. It really all does seem like a power play. Like, if they're introduced to topics that they don't personally like, it'll harm their own credibility if the child like has any questions about it.
Oh, you just nailed it right there, Arya. It's not even about protecting the children. It's about protecting their credibility as the boss of you. That is definitely exactly what that kind of parenting style does. It's difficult because children do benefit very much so from having parents who are able to give them a lot of structure and a lot of control. But again, it has to be that responsive, communicative, reasoned control. Like, children aren't stupid, you know? Like, if you tell the child, like, no, I'm doing this because if you do this, you're going to incur a lot of harm. And I, as your parent, want to protect you because I love you and I want the best for you. That is very different from, no, you're doing this because we're Christian and I didn't raise no damn queer, you know?
Yeah, I think a lot of parents also don't realize how easy it is to fail to give like adequate reasoning behind things. Because if you reason out with your children and treat them, you know, with decent respect, they'll be, you know, you can have an actual discussion with them. Whereas a lot of times, you I would express interest in like something overtly feminine, and it would just be immediately slapped away with like, no, don't do that. Don't ever do that again. And it like all that does is like teach the child to repress and just not speak anymore. Like, all right, well, I'm not talking to you again. It won't come up.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that is definitely more of an authoritarian strategy. And I think a lot of us in the community relate to that, of having parents just tell you, no, you should. I mean, one of my most formative memories is me and my cousin playing dress up and us hiding from her dad because he was going to get mad at us. And then on the way home, my parents were divorced when I was little. My mom was driving me to drop me off at my dad's house after. And she was like, don't tell your dad about that. That I was like cross-dressing the whole afternoon with my cousin. And like, there's no reason. It was just because it was bad and wrong that you did that. And it was like, in my little kid brain, I'm like, wait, then why was nobody stopping me? Why were we laughing and clapping along? And like, this was like a fun thing to do the whole time. And yeah, it's because, again, we're not actually getting structure or reason. We're just getting rules. And that's usually, I saw someone in the chat also be like, oh, I raised my kid as an adult and that didn't turn out well. Well, yeah, that's because that's like, they're not adults. They don't, that's where you get into like the permissive structure as well. So you're causing me to dig back into my actual education for once. This is amazing. I never get to do that on this show. So thank you for bringing this.
Yeah, no problem. I've studied a bit of pedagogy, but I'm not like super well versed in it, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never really had the experience of getting to do too much in my childhood, but I'd say that I started realizing more and more about myself, because looking back, it really should have been obvious, because every time I played any game that has like a shape-shifting character, I'd always be like, oh, easy. Female shapeshifter turns into a male body, perfection. Like, it was very consistent.
Yeah. Well, I would definitely say if you're interested in like kind of understanding this more on like an academic sense, look into the like, I'm trying to think of, it's like the political graph where you have two axes and like parenting styles follow along them. And they're from like permissive to, or what, hold on, let me see if I can pull up what the actual axes are. It's like high to low control and high to low responsiveness and warmth. And like the high control but high responsiveness is where you get authoritative. Yeah, I would look up like authoritative versus authoritarian. I'm sure you'll get the graph that I'm referencing. And honestly, I haven't been in school for, God, how old am I? Like 8+ years now. There could be new, better research on this topic, and I could be citing outdated stuff. And so I definitely want everyone to like, with everything I say, fact check, go through those things, like take everything with a grain of salt. Yeah, so I would look into that. It's an interesting topic. I loved, if I was to go back to psychology, I think I would be interested in like either doing research, or like specifically research in like family dynamics and that kind of stuff, because that was always really interesting to me.
Yeah, I see the chart here. Authoritarian at low responsiveness, high demandingness.
Yep.
Versus authoritative, which is high demand but high responsive.
Yep. Yeah, dig into that. I'm sure there's some good YouTube videos on it from some actual psychologists out there. Definitely just be careful about who you're listening to and always double check, what their qualifications are, the things that they're saying, even if they have qualifications. If that's all you had, Aria, we're going to take the next call, but I do appreciate you calling in. And if you have anything else you want to add, now's your chance.
I'll just quickly add that the mention of a political axis just reminded me of the last time I mapped myself out on a political axis chart, and I'm like, so anarcho-socialist is pretty out there, apparently.
Yeah, pretty far in one of those quadrants, huh?
Yeah.
Yep.
Bottom left, the opposite of America.
It's so funny because I don't tend to take labels like that, but I am also almost as far in the bottom left as you can get when you actually ask me the answers to those questions. So, yeah, interesting. Well, anyway, Aria, thank you for calling in. We appreciate your time, and I hope you have a good rest of your day.
Thank you for both of your time as well.
Thanks. Real quick, Dr. Ben, I'm going to go get a water because I don't think my manservant has heard me.
Yeah.
If you want to just like, I don't know, push Patreon or super chats or whatever else you want to talk about. I'll be right back.
Yes. Definitely everybody out there, you should definitely send some super chats at the end of the show. If you leave a super chat of $5 or more, you will get your super chat read live on air. And if you put a hashtag Team Ben or hashtag Team Arden, those will be votes, and the winner will not have to do the punishment. The loser will have to defend a very silly position live on the show. So be sure you have to have the hashtag, no vote. So get the hashtag, put your votes in, and help your favorite host to win. And definitely join the Patreon. Like we were saying, there's going to be some cool events coming out for patrons. And there's also a list of patrons that goes up at the end of the show. So be sure to do that. And yeah, I was arguing a little bit in side chat. So to clarify my position recently, if you take, so the whole point is that children have gender identity as an internal concept. Like, this is a psychological phenomenon that you just have. So even if you are raised in an ungendered society, you still would have your internal sense of self. This is something that you are inherently going to have. At least that's what we've studied with regard to psychology of gender. Even if you arrive at a conclusion of my gender doesn't exist, or like I am agender, that still is an internal sense of gender. Whether it be masc or femme, even if you don't have the words to describe those concepts, you still have that internal sense of self. So that's different from race. Race is not something that actually exists. So, and Arden jumping in here. So a person in the side chat was saying, well, but if they're not raised in a culture where, like, if they're raised completely genderless, then it's like not going to happen. Like, no, it might not happen in the same way, but being non-gendered is still a gender, and you claim that as an identity, that is still a gender identity. And so I'm not arguing about sociology. I'm not saying that culturally, like, they would view gender in the same way if you isolated children. My point was that internally, their sense of self would not change. It would still be their sense of self. So that's the whole reason with that.
Yep, that seems to make sense to me.
Yeah.
Okay, we have 4 callers on the line, and then we're gonna get to your super chats. Let's see. Okay, 15.5 looks like that's probably the best content call. So,
let's do it.
Lassie, him from Denmark, hopefully I'm saying your name right, please correct me if I'm not, says, isn't trans people buying into stereotypes when they want to identify as another gender? So you are live on the line with Arden and Ben. How did I do on your name?
Yeah, you did fine. Can you hear me?
Yep. All right, you're coming through just fine. Go ahead, set it up for us. Where are you coming from on this?
First of all, I just want to give a quick heads up. I have 2 young daughters, so which is asleep. So if I suddenly disappear, that's probably why. And now for my question, like, something. First of all, I didn't write in my written question. Would you do you differentiate on biology and social construct? Like, do you differ between those two? Can you recognize that you are born as a man, but you feel as a woman, like you're a trans woman?
That wouldn't be how I would phrase it, but sure. I'm not saying that trans women and cis women are the same.
Okay. And then I just wanted the fight that you're doing to be recognized as a woman, right? In my perspective, I accept people for whatever they want to be called, and I call them by their pronouns as they want to. But I just wonder, isn't it the wrong battle? Shouldn't we fight to break down the stereotype of what is a man, what is a woman? So, for example, me as a man, I could dress as a woman and
hey,
do
Les.
whatever a woman is.
Hey.
You get me?
Are you part of the trans community? Are you trans?
No, I'm not. No.
Why are you telling trans people what we should be fighting for? You're not part of this group at all.
Certainly not. I just wondered if you wouldn't agree that I understand it from your perspective that it's a personal choice, but just
So
as I
here's the
see
thing-
it, it's
here's
like we
the
should
thing,
rather
though.
fight.
Here's the thing. Before we can even engage with the fight with the rest of society, we have to exist as people, right? Like, I have to live as me. I
Right.
have to survive. I have to eat. I have to find shelter, right? Like, I have to meet my basic needs, correct?
Right.
And in order to meet those basic needs, I
yeah.
have to interact with society around me, correct?
Right.
And so in order to interact with society, there are certain things that have to be done in order to be granted a basic level of dignity. And if you have, like, we have a society that treats people differently based on how they appear in public. And that is just fact. And you have certain things that will be granted to you or taken away from you based on that. And with regard to gender, yes, there are a lot of gender stereotypes that are put upon cis people and trans people. Really, everybody in society has to confront this particular question of how they're going to present themselves to society. And we can't change how everybody out there is going to view us. But what I can do is I can make my life a little bit less miserable by not having to explain myself to every single person out there. Like, if I want to go to the store and instead of, like, I could dress up like just an androgynous person, like I could have this long hair that I used to have. I could have not undergone top surgery and I could still have chest tissue that, is fairly obvious. Or I could avoid leaning into stereotypes, if you will, but going in public would mean that people would call me ma'am. They would call me she, her. They would call me by the wrong name. They would make assumptions that then impact my mental health, number one. It would make me not want to go out in public. But also the disconnect of those traits of if you start speaking out of like, hey, actually, I am he, him, but I look different. That not only does it impact your mental health, that could impact your ability to access housing. It could impact your ability to get a job. Like, gender incongruence is very difficult to integrate with society and have. And there are people who choose to undertake that battle. And, they choose to have a certain expression that doesn't correlate with their identity or doesn't correlate with their specifically with their pronouns, etc. Like, people may have take different aspects of different genders, and that's how they want to present. But that's also very, very hard.
Right.
And they are sacrificing something in that. So in a perfect world, should we just say fuck it to all gender norms and gender stereotypes? Sure. But is that reasonable to ask of trans people? And especially the way that the reason why I brought my point in at the beginning was that you, as someone who has not ever had to battle that decision, telling somebody else, yeah, you have to take this fight on, and not understand what that cost is. It sounds insensitive.
I totally understand. Yeah, I'm sorry if it came across.
And I know you didn't mean. I know you don't
insensitive.
mean it that way.
Yeah.
I know you don't mean it that way, but it's like
It's just
it's
like
a
in
similar
a
thing. If
perfect
I were
ideal world.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's the same thing that if I were to go back to the transracial conversations, like if I were to say, Black communities in America, you have to fight in this particular way, but I have no idea what they go through in their fight already. It's kind of like I can't be the one to tell them that.
Yeah. I want to hear what you have to say, Lassie. I have thoughts, but I want you to respond first. So go ahead.
Yeah, I think it makes perfect sense to me. But just like because you guys are really smart, so I would imagine that it would still bother you somehow that you know that I don't want to say the right battle is to like get rid of these stereotypes of what is a man and a woman, but you get me that I feel like if I were in your position, I would be a bit sad that I have to battle with this just to stay in society and be accepted as normal. I would, like, if I were in your place, I would wish that I could just break down these norms and these ideas of what is a man and what is a woman.
Well, I think we do wish that,
having
right?
to fight to get to it. Yeah.
I think that was kind of Ben's point. I think that we do wish that, but I think the issue is that, and I'm not saying you're necessarily at fault for this because this is just a really common thing people bring up, and so it makes sense that it's crossed your mind. But it's like it gets framed as if trans people are uniquely needing to battle these gender roles, or if trans people are uniquely reinforcing gender roles, when, like, in fact, as Ben pointed out, cis people do this all the time. I often reference, I love reality TV, right? Right now, one of the shows I'm watching is Bachelor in Paradise. On like episode 2, I think it was, this new guy came onto the beach. It's a dating show, for those of you who don't know, a dating reality TV show. A new guy came onto the beach, very stereotypical image of a man, very muscular build, very like handsome, symmetrical, stereotypically handsome face. And this one girl on the beach was like, wow, he's a whole man. And I'm like, what? See, like, it's so funny when they accuse trans people of uniquely reinforcing gender roles, when I'm like, this woman just said that this guy who happens to meet all the standards and expectations for men in culture is like, oh, that's a whole man. As if you don't have a six-pack and a very square jawline, that you're like a half man or a quarter man, or like somehow you're losing manhood in some quantity by not meeting some sort of stereotype. And I think it's like, that's the frustration for me, is it feels when people bring this up to us, cis people, like they're kind of showing, like they're trying to accuse us of like uniquely reinforcing gender roles, when I think, like Ben said, we are just following our instincts of what makes us feel good in our bodies and doing what it takes to survive. But like, I am out here all the time talking about that, like, I don't want trans people to have to be gender conforming to get by. One of the big lines of my talk is that I've been giving at conventions this year has been talking about how I don't want a destination for you. If somebody is assigned male at birth and they think they might be trans, but then at the end they decide they're a cis man and they just like to wear dresses, cool. If they transition to a woman, but they like to work on cars and be covered in mud and other stereotypically masculine things, cool. Because I don't want to prescribe somebody what being a man or woman is. I think, like, these are identity components that have a lot to do with what our relationship to sociology and biology is. It's not about, like, purely what society has prescribed.
I think your answer made a lot of sense. Especially, I didn't really think about there's like a lot of other people in society who enforce these, like, encourage these roles. So, yeah, thanks for that.
Yeah.
Well, yeah,
thanks for calling
something
in.
Else that I want to, and something else I want to mention too is that, like, there are trans people who, like, want to dress certain ways that may coincide with stereotypes, and it's important that we allow those people to have that joy in doing those things. Like, there are plenty of things that sure are stereotypically masculine that I enjoy. Like, I enjoy not having to shave. It's amazing. But, like, sure, you could say that is not breaking down gender norms, but there are some times where I just want to do those things. Like, it's okay to wear makeup. It's okay to, like, want to do modeling or whatever. Like, it's okay to do things that are stereotypical, and we don't have to punish trans people for wanting to do some of those things. Like, we're allowed to enjoy some of that stuff too.
Okay. Can I just, lastly, before I go, can I ask you guys, do you think there's any issues with people being trans? Like, do you see any issues in it at all? Like, you know, there's a lot of people who raise the question about sport or what toilet to use and whatnot. Do you guys see anything that could be seen as a problem? Also, these were silly
every
examples.
alleged problem that has been presented to me is a problem that is created by and reinforced by cis people and the people who have the levers of power in society, which are all cis people. I don't think any of these problems come from trans people. Trans people aren't uniquely predisposed to committing violence against women. We're not unilaterally possessing some athletic advantage that would cause us to dominate sports. If that was true, trans women have been allowed in the Olympics. They were allowed until this year because of Donald Trump. They were allowed for the last 20 years, and no one has even gotten a medal or anything close to it. One trans woman has competed in the Olympics, one out trans woman, and she got 11th place in weightlifting. Like, so almost all of these issues that have been proposed are ones that are manufactured by cis society. Kids aren't being rushed into transition. The standards of care for trans kids are literally designed to help them go through fertility preservation, to help them have time to make sure that this is actually the decision for them. Like every single issue, it's manufactured by cis people. And it's never has anything to do with actually trans people or transitioning itself, as far as I can tell. But I mean, I've been doing this show for 4 years, waiting for people to present an issue that is like actually the fault of trans people. And so far, I have not been convinced personally that any of them are. But obviously, I'm here every week. I'm waiting for someone to do it.
Yeah, okay. Thanks a lot. That was
Right.
a good answer. Thanks.
Thanks, Lassie. Have a good day.
Thank you.
All right. Well, that was relatively painless. I thought that was going to be worse than it was as well.
Yeah.
It's amazing that when you actually talk to trans people and hear our answers to these questions, everyone's like, wait, so you don't want to just enforce stereotypes and violate women in bathrooms? Like,
Right.
oh my God. Imagine if you'd ever talked to us, you would have had that answer. Real quick, before we do our last 3 calls, the options for our loser thing in the super chats are up. The options are misgendering equals a pie to the face, drag brunch should be a national holiday, or TERFs have to eat mayo forever. So if you want to vote for which of those positions we have to spend 2 minutes defending, that is in the live chat right now. You can go in and vote, and whichever one you guys pick will be the one we have to defend. And that comes from super chats. So whoever gets the least amount of hashtag team Arden or Ben super chats has to defend that position. Also, sorry, real quick before we take the next call, I also want to read you guys our schedule real quick. We're trying to be more consistent about these things across all our shows. So in the coming, sorry, this is a few months ago. I was like, is there a Cus I Wanna tomorrow I didn't know about? No. This Sunday at 2 p.m. will be Matt Dillahunty and Durante Lamar. The late show is going to be with Owen Morgan and Aaron Adair. That's at 7 p.m. Central Time. R and Raw will be hosting Skeptalk this week with Eric from Skeptics and Scoundrels at 6 p.m. Central Time. Chewed Gum will be Alyssa and Taylor this week. And then Matt is going to have Mandisa Thomas on The Hang Up next week. That's the 13th at 6 p.m. Central Time. And next week, right here, same time, will be Luxander and Josie Caballero taking all your calls about all the trans stuff. So be
all
sure
that problematic trans stuff.
We're always
Such
so
a problem.
problematic, us Teaslers. All right, we have 3 more calls. I don't know how you're feeling about 4-3. I think I'm inclined to take 6-4 and then maybe...
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay.
We can do that.
All right, let's talk to Michaela, they, them in Georgia, who says, I feel the trans community has overreacted to Lily Tino. So let's bring Michaela on. You are live on the line with Arden and Ben. Michaela, what's going on?
Hey, how's it going? Thanks for having me on. So on my topic, like I've kind of had some time to kind of like think it over, and I guess what I want to do just really quickly is kind of just like just speak from the heart, because I feel like Lily Tino absolutely deserves criticism and has been problematic. But however, I feel like when it comes to how the trans community has reacted to Lily Tino, I still feel like it's more so the trans community on TikTok is more so, because I've been very plugged into the trans community on that app, on that platform. But the thing is that in their criticism of Lily Tino, I feel like they're showing off some internalized, maybe respectability politics, maybe. And I guess like the one thing I kind of and if I'm wrong, and if I'm wrong, I'm willing to accept that I'm wrong here. But she has these videos where she'll go to Disneyland and she'll kind of like demonstrate how bottom surgery is done on a Disney snack. Now that's not something that I would do, but at the same time, as trans people, cisgender people are obsessed with our genitalia. Even when I was first coming out, people would they would take the two fingers and do like a scissor motion, like, hey, are you going to get the snip snip? They're very fascinated with what we got going on down there. And in these videos, I feel like the Latino, because like some people say like, hey, children are in the background, but I don't know if these children could actually hear what she was saying, and I don't know if those children could understand what she's saying, because Lily Tino, when she does these videos talking about the Disney snacks, she does use coded language, but people, I still kind of get the criticism because time and place, I wouldn't do it, but at the same time, I feel like there's kind of like a respectability place that here. I could be wrong with that as well, but I just don't really appreciate that criticism of it per se. I guess I just want your opinion on that.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly who this person is. It sounds just like standard internet cringe. Like, there are cringy people. There are lots of cringy people who, I want all the respect and dignity for, but, I'm not a fan of their content. There's so many internet doctors that are just flat out cringe. There's so many of them. I don't watch their content. I'm like, I don't think you're cool. I don't think you're funny. I think you're trying to get attention. And so it's not my thing, but it's also like, if someone wants to like that and wants to watch those videos, I'm like, okay, whatever. I wonder if this is a similar case of just internet cringe that maybe some people just wouldn't vibe with.
Yeah. So more of this has crossed my timeline than normal. I'm not big on, I don't scroll on TikTok really. Mostly because it makes me feel old. I don't understand the way people talk on that app. But from what I've seen, I would say I don't really have strong feelings about Lily herself. I think her content reads to me as rage bait. It's intentionally trying to be annoying or piss people off because it gets her engagement. And I suspect that is a big motivating factor for her, but I don't know. I don't know her. I don't know anything really about this world. I saw the video people are referencing, the corn dog video, and I was also like, I don't see a reason to make that video unless you're trying to do rage bait. I'm sorry, but conducting a sexual reassignment surgery on a corn dog in the middle of Disney World is, like you're saying, Mikhail, is very much time and fucking place. What this is so I feel like people go to Disney to escape into the world of magic and fantasy and to not have to think about real world problems and being let me show what a surgery on a penis looks like in the middle of it's very strange to me, and I don't understand why anyone would do that. I do think the hate she gets is also super unjustified. I saw this one video come up of somebody being like, oh, I have proof that Lily Tino is actually not really trans because she used to be conservative and was super masculine in her past. And I'm like, that's so dumb. So many trans women, in response to growing up in a misogynistic patriarchal culture, who aren't ready to accept themselves, will go hard in the masculinity route to try to compensate for the feelings of insecurity that they have. So that's not really that is so dumb. I don't know. For people who don't know, Lily Tino is a TikToker. She used to make these videos where she would film herself at restaurants, and then somebody would misgender her, and then she would be really mad at them and upset and kind of making a scene out of it. And it was just very much rage bait content as far as I could tell. I don't know. I don't have strong feelings about it. rage bait is going to rage bait. It's again kind of like the last caller who's like, oh, don't you think trans people are reinforcing stereotypes? It's like people are like, don't you think Lily Tino's awful? And I'm like, sure, but not like uniquely. Like rage bait is a problem across all of social media right now. And it's annoying as fuck. And I don't like when anyone contributes to it, but like sometimes we do it the line, and sometimes Lily Tino does it. And sometimes most of it is coming from cis people. And usually it's about like, don't you think men are assaulting girls in bathrooms? Like, let's get rid of all those, like that's their rage bait, which is way worse to me than Lily Tino using coded language to give surgery on a corn dog. But also like, why? Stop what you're doing. Like, I don't know. It's weird. I just don't get why, aside from clout, you do that. But it's hard for me to really care. I mean, like, niche TikToker does rage bait. Like, okay, that's millions of TikTokers all the time, every single day, you know?
Right. And I guess before I get out of here, there's one last little quick topic I kind of want to pick your brains on as well, because in my space, because I feel like the trans community on TikTok is they're very fun. It's a very unique space. But in this space, like I tend to find these I tend to find more conservative, MAGA supporting Republican trans women on TikTok than I do on YouTube. And obviously there's a reason, obviously it's only white trans women, not all white trans women, obviously, but it's only white trans women doing it because they understand that their whiteness has proximity to privilege and power.
Yeah.
And, at the same time, when I go on these conservative white trans women pages, there's other trans woman on there. She said, "Hey, I'm a 47-year-old biological man, and I only dress like a female." So she said something to the effect of, "I present myself as a female because that's just how I want to look." But I guess what was really discouraging is that you have this trans woman calling herself, because I found two trans women calling themselves biological men on TikTok, and when I look at the comment sections, they're getting a lot of support.
Sure.
And that's just heartbreaking. That's just like, it kind of made me there's this weird voice in there was like this weird side of me that was like, respectability politics, it's like, obviously respectability politics, especially as a person of color, it's never worked out, and it's not going to work out for the trans community. But it's like, I understand why some trans people tend to do it.
Yeah, I mean, to me, that's just more rage bait. I mean, the fact that they get affirmation from like probably fucking Russian bots is not surprising, but it's also, she's trying to piss off all the people who are going to be like, why are you calling yourself a biological man? And she knows she's going to get affirmation from all the people who consistently call trans women biological men. Like, it's boring and trite to me. Like, first, like, there's so many layers to why that's dumb. Like, the term biological man and woman, first of all, like, I will tend to try to, like, I'm not always trying to convince people of language right away. I want them to be convinced of the idea. So sometimes I'll use that to like keep them on board with the conversation. But like the terms biological man and women is like incoherent as far as I can tell, because like it opposes them with like non-biological men and women, which sounds like we're now talking about androids. And like
which are, most of the commenters are actually not real people. So
Right. Yeah. It's so, I don't know. It's just like, the way I say it, like, always look through those, like, click on those accounts, don't respond to them or anything. It's not worth responding to bots. But when they have like one post and the account was made like several months ago, it's a bot. It's not a real person. They're a person who's trying to reinforce rage bait to make social media more hostile. Like, the amount of bots on most social media sites is like getting a little insane now. So I definitely don't give credit to like commenters that much. Like, it's really not worth your time. But I don't know. Anyway, that's all the thoughts I really have. Like a chatter said, rage bait on the internet, water is wet. Like, anything else, Michaela?
Appreciate that. Yeah, just one last super quick question for Dr. Ben. Were you an Air Force veteran?
Army.
Army. Okay, awesome.
Yep.
Well, yeah. I was just curious because I saw the last call that you had with Matt, and that was a good conversation. And I was just curious about that. But yeah, this is my first time talking to Dr. Ben and Arden. I listened to you guys a lot, and it was hopefully I can talk to you guys again in the future. But yeah, I appreciate your time, and thanks for having me.
Cool. Thanks for calling, Michaela. We appreciate it. Bye-bye. All right. We had 2 callers, but one of them dropped, it looks like. So we've got just 1 caller left, and then we're going to move on to super chats. Super chats of $5 or more. We will read out live. Patreon.com/calltheline for the people who are still here. We're pushing that shit hard. Remember, if we get, I think Jimmy said 2,000 patrons. I forget what the deadline is by, but Zerba will become the official mascot of the line, which is honestly hilarious, and I really want you guys to do it.
Yes.
So consider supporting us on Patreon. All right.
Get access to all those super fun events that we were talking about.
Yeah.
Great.
LineCon Online Live. That's how I feel when I say that.
Yeah.
All right, last caller of the day. Quinn, pronouns she, her in Indiana, wants to know how worried we should be that healthcare will disappear for everyone and not just trans youth. Well, Quinn, I hate to be a downer, but you should be pretty worried. Seems like an almost certain, guaranteed certainty.
Well, I am just a worrier, and that's not a good answer.
I think there's...
So...
Yeah.
Yeah. No, go ahead, Ben.
No, there's some nuance to this answer, and there's some, because I know your question written here is how worried, so, on the spectrum of what is actually going to happen and in what timeline, we don't really know that answer, but depending on where you are, of course, the big number one thing that probably will happen is that it won't get covered by insurance. If insurance stops covering gender affirming care, that is pretty high on the list for happening. As far as where we go from here, whether things become federal bans or they be left up to the states, that could add another layer to this too. If you're in a super red area, for a lot of people listening, you're definitely at higher risk of a state coming in and saying, yeah, this is just a blanket ban. States like California, Oregon, Washington, probably less likely. Minnesota, all those very, very heavily blue states or very heavily safe haven states are less likely to give in to that. I guess the question really is, will there be bans on private healthcare distribution of this? Because that's something that the federal government has less control over, and there are ways to for people to continue practicing. If it ends up being considered more of a cosmetic thing that you could just pay out of pocket for, if we end up getting into danger zones of adults' healthcare getting cut, that's less likely to be cut compared to things that require insurance coverage.
Yeah, I think you're right that I imagine out-of-pocket care will still be available to a certain extent, but I think it's also a lot of doctors are going to be in the same position that doctors are federally right now with regard to abortion care, where it's are there going to be legal repercussions coming down where the state of Texas can sue doctors in Chicago for giving an abortion to a Texas resident kind of thing. I think that's going to be more where some of those, where they're able to attack people in progressive states where there's still ostensibly some access to care.
Yeah, so really the thing is getting residency in a safe haven state, which I know is not realistic for everyone to do, but if that's something that people are extremely concerned about, that's probably the best next step. It's to work out how do I get to a place where I'm least likely to be targeted by legislation.
Yeah, because I am been fighting really hard to set up a date for gender affirming surgery. And got I got 2.5 letters, but anyways, that's not important. So yeah, I'm just trying to quickly try to get everything scheduled, and hopefully it doesn't get canceled. That's what I'm like worried about, because as of now, for now, it's covered. But yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's worth, I realize we kind of gave a doom and gloom answer, but that's because I don't really want to be dishonest. Like, it is dire, the situation we're in with access to care. But that being said, it's worth noting that we as a community survived and thrived for a long time before we had access to all the things we have now, before insurance ever covered any of this. We had people who were, coming together to get girls trips over to Thailand to get surgery from like the Saporn clinic and stuff like that. And I imagine we're going to have to kind of rely on a lot of those old ways again, but, also be doing better to advocate within community against like expecting people to pass all the time or whatever. Cause like, we're not going to have the same level of access to care. So you can't expect people to like just conform with expectations all the time. But yeah, I mean, I'm sorry the answer is so negative. I want to be straight up with you,
Yeah, no, I understand. And yeah, that's why I'm trying to be proactive about this because it's something I've been wanting for a really, really long time. And it's already been a year from my first consultation, and then I just went back and talked to him the other day. But anyways, it's
yeah. Well, I hope you get it. I hope it all works out and that you're able to get it under the wire. I know I was really on a path that it was going to like happen really soon this year. Like it probably was going to happen earlier this year if I had gone forward. But man, all this shit has made me so nervous about wanting to listen. I've talked to a lot of girls who have had issues with doctors after, like who get like freaked out by not understanding what's down there post gender, genital surgery. And that has made me really scared about wanting to move forward and being like, oh, am I going to put myself in a worse situation? But maybe it'll be better overall. I don't know. It's really a thing you have to weigh. But I'm right there with you, girl. I'm terrified and nervous about all making the decisions that are going to make, us have good lives, but also keep us safe. And I don't think there's any like good, clean solution across the board anymore. I think it's really even more like piecemeal than it already was about kind of you having to determine the costs and benefits that you're willing to incur for all this. So yeah, I mean, best of luck. I hope we're able to turn things around. We're getting towards the latter half of this year, and then it's going to be midterms. And right now, the midterms are looking like they might not be completely awful. So, fingers crossed that maybe we can at least get enough victories that we can halt this administration to a certain degree. But yeah, I don't think it's going to get better. I think it's going to get worse before it gets better. So,
yep. Unfortunately.
Yeah. All right. Well, I should get off the phone. I actually am at work, so I appreciate you taking my call. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks for calling, Quinn.
Go take care of yourself, Quinn. Go do something happy. Relax a bit from this conversation. I know it was a rough one.
Yeah.
All right. Talk to you later, Quinn. Have a good day. Bye.
All right. Bye.
Alrighty, everyone. That is the end of the caller portion of the show. Really good show today. I feel like we had like 3 different callers who were disagreeers, but they were all really respectful and like actually open to hearing information and not like irrationally committing to a side even after. What's really triggered me lately is when I get people to be like, A equals B, and they're like, yeah. And I'm like, and B equals C, and they're like, yeah. And I'm like, so therefore A also equals C, and they're like, no. And I'm like, what? How do you can't agree with every step along the way and then not agree with the logical conclusion?
Right. We had people today that were at least like able to understand logic, and that was nice.
Yeah, for real. All right, so we are going to move on to our super chats. Any super chat of $5 or more, we're going to read out live. If it has hashtag Team Arden, I will get a point. If it has hashtag Team Ben, Ben will get a point. And whoever has the least amount of points has to defend the position that's winning in the poll right now. It looks like right now there's a tie between a drag brunch national holiday and TERFs eating mayo forever. So we'll see which one of those comes out on top. But until then, we're going to jump into those super dupers. You want to go first?
I was like, I saw Zurith, so I might have to go get the dog in a minute. But $5 from Zurith Moonpaw, hashtag Team Pupper, hashtag Team Dr. Ben, hashtag no fence sitting today. Finally, we've been telling you this for how many months now, Zurith, that you have to pick one? Just you wait. Zurith is just you wait, though. Zurith is probably actually sending another super chat to be the opposite, to be a more effective fence sitter. Bring on the pupperoni, please. I will think about getting the puppy, but we'll see how truly loyal you are to Team Ben, Zurith. If there's another one that's for Arden, then I will not grab the puppy.
I also feel bad for the puppy when he's like, Dad's free, Dad's giving me attention, and then you're like, actually, just kidding, putting you back out again, and he's like, what the fuck? All right, we've got $5 from June Bramley. I've already pledged my votes to hashtag Team Arden today because she's the GOAT and is GOAT producer and is part of the Monad. The Monad will never die. Sorry, Ben, you're going to lose today. I saw Anarchic Fox put in the chat, Zerba is Monad and Monad is the Zerba. And if you guys didn't watch the insane Forrest and Erica Skeptalk bonanza, just go to the last call and watch the Monad call, and then you can be up to date on this inside joke. It is we got chat to donate $500 to convince me to open the lines like at midnight to take one more call, and that was the fucking call we got. It was a real trip.
Damn. Another 5 from June Bramley. By the way, did you know that monad is a monoid in the category of endofunctors? Hashtag Team Arden. Hashtag computer science for life. I have to go back and watch the thing because I am so out of the loop.
From my understanding, the monad is like a kind of school of looking at God that is basically deistic. It's like God is like the one true intelligence, and it leads them to say silly things like God is the one, and this makes sense mathematically because everything is divisible by 1. And 1 in relation to 0 is basically infinity. Which are all really stupid things to say, but these are the things that these people have said. So I'm
okay. That makes more sense. I mean, the argument doesn't make sense, but it makes sense that people would call in with that argument.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. 5 new Zerba dollars from Christina Hankey. Thank you all for being you and for hosting and screening. Thank you so much for your Zerba money from the nation of Zerba.
The nation of Zerba, new Zerba. 23.99 euros from Leanne. Hey, I'm from rural Oregon and grew up evangelical there. I left at 19 and have lived abroad 20 years. I'm so proud to support trans rights, especially after leaving where I'm from. Awesome. Glad that you are an ally, and I guess now in Europe, it looks like, which is super cool. I want to go to Europe, but I'm stuck here.
For real. $20 from Bobtail Trucker. Hashtag gosh forbid they have all these trans folks dominating sports. All these 2 to 3 athletes will dominate all the events. Hashtag Arden. Yeah. It's the thing I've also been talking about lately is like, even if trans people were all of the things that they said we are, if you were to categorize the impact of trans people on trans women or on women's sports, we would still be like non-existent. Like there would still be 20
Yeah.
other tasks that should take priority over banning trans women from sports, even if we were all the things they said across the board. Like,
Right, where are all these trans people? Like, why are there only 2 that are talked about
yeah.
ever?
But did you see Leah Thomas? She's tall. And that means she's a man.
Yeah. Yeah, let's just kick out all athletes from Scandinavia.
Right.
$5 from Sarah Talks Podcast, hashtag Team Monad, but it's really hashtag Team Arden for letting us get the Monad call with $500 worth of super chats. Yeah, I mean, Arden does deserve that.
You'll never get me to open the lines that late unless it includes $500, which that's pretty hard to turn down. But
I mean, fair. Yeah.
Not like I'm getting all that $500, but we do appreciate it over at the line as a whole. $10 from Aiden Swallow. Amazing show as usual. Great job on the sports call. Hashtag Team Ben, to hopefully hear him defend a position. Well, Ben definitely had his work cut out for him a couple times today, and he did a great job.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought that was one of the best sports calls
voting for me.
had.
Oh yeah. They're voting for me, but then I think they want to hear me defend an awful position, which
Yes.
Don't vote for me if you want that, but keep voting for me.
Right.
But
there's also an honor element. I also just want the honor of winning and not losing.
Of winning. Yeah, it's that. It's that.
$5 from Puggles. Hashtag Team Love You Both. Although I don't have $100 super chat this time. Can I get a hashtag Team Scissors Paper Rock? Oh, okay. All right, so we gotta look away. 3, 2, 1, go. Okay. And whoever wins gets it. All right, ready? 3, 2, 1, go.
Oh no, it's you.
Yes.
I just wanted to scissor on my own over here.
That's fair.
Don't mind me.
I thought Team Scissors was gonna be a lesbian joke, and it didn't end up being a lesbian joke. Missed opportunity, but
that's also all right. Are people from Assland or New Zurba?
Assland and New Zurba. Listen, I love these countries.
Places down under. $5 from Joshua Everett. Dr. Ben, do you have any thoughts on potentially getting back to the monad, even if we're angry about it? Hashtag Team Dr. Ben. Why am I dragged into this now? I wasn't even there. I don't even know what's happening.
Oh my God.
I appreciate the vote though.
At one point, the caller was getting really upset. Like, way before the host started getting upset, the caller started getting really upset. And he was like, anyway, back to the monad. We're like,
okay, I need to go watch this call. It just sounds really funny. I mean, it's gonna be so clippable for y'all. Like,
oh yeah, for sure. It's so goofy. $5 from Dysgraphic Programmer. Hashtag or quote, attack helicopters is a boring joke anyway. If they had any imagination, they would claim to be transgender. Hashtag Team Arden. That's what I'm saying. There's always so many good jokes about trans people, but they all use the same ones and they all suck every time. It's not even good delivery. Yeah. Ashley Gavin, a lesbian comedian who has got like several shows on YouTube. She has some great crowd work and she does trans jokes all the time, mostly about like non-binary people, but they're always so funny and they're always in good spirits. Like everyone seems to be having a good time.
$5 from June Bramley. I can't speak anymore. June Bramley. Oh, and for the record, neither Growlithe nor Espeon are the best. Ivysaur for the win. Hashtag Team Arden. You're going to really hashtag Team Arden and give a fence-sitting opinion in this very heated debate?
Here's the thing. I don't mind if you don't love Espeon. I just think it's fucked up if you're going to pretend Growlithe is superior to Espeon. I mean, that's just... you should get checked out by a professional. That's really concerning.
Yeah, it is a messed up opinion. I will say that.
5 pounds from Mystic Minds Analysis Tavern. I'm grieving for my Degu who passed away. Maybe you meant Tegu. But I want to spread positivity to help process it. What gives you big gender euphoria? Hashtag Team Danger Noodle. What gives me gender euphoria? Honestly, like anything that feels like being a girl's girl. Like if I'm able to like, I don't know, girl talk or like at several conventions, people have been like, oh, like, can you help me out in this thing in like the bathroom or whatever? That's always like fun to be like, oh, I'm included and doing the things, you know, the girly things. Thank you. That makes me feel lots of euphoria. How about you, Ben?
Sitting in the garage with some dudes on whatever random chairs you could find, cracking open a few beers and just existing.
I was waiting for you to be like, and just
Big
blaming
man.
all of our problems on women.
Yeah, I mean that too, but no.
Oh, a daegu is a rodent similar to a chinchilla. Ah, okay, cool. Thank you.
So many animals.
Oh, and this one's you.
$10 from Aiden Swallow. I voted wrong last time. Mistakes were made. Voting hashtag Team Arden. So Dr. Ben has to defend the ridiculous point. I see. Y'all just want me to have more screen time, and you know I can't be entirely mad about that. Y'all just want to hear me talk more. That's gender euphoria right there. They want to hear the man talk.
Honestly, though, oh my god, I was on Jovan's podcast last week, and I was going off on this guy for saying some stupid shit at the beginning, and he was like, can the man talk? I don't want to talk to you anymore. And I was like, oh, like gender affirming misogyny. It's so cute.
Yes.
$5 from Kaleidoscope Green. Just wanted to say thank you. And I'm 40 today. Never thought I would make it. Keep doing that important work. Oh, I'm glad you did make it. And thank you for being here. We appreciate you.
$9.99 from Daniel. In my mind, the sky is blue, grass is green, cats are orange, and Arden and Dr. Ben are the hosts of TACIS. Hashtag Team Dr. Ben. I mean, I appreciate the little thing you wrote, but more appreciative of your vote. Because we're behind. We're behind in the polls, people. We got to do better. Maybe I'll just rage bait about it.
I don't know if you recognize this. Daniel is the one we had lunch or dinner with at the dinner event during
Oh yeah.
NanoCon. Yeah.
Is that Daniel?
Yep.
Hell yeah.
£5 from Grimbeard. Thanks for taking the time to clarify, Dr. Ben. Much appreciated. My vote still goes to Arden though. Hashtag Team Psychology. Hey.
That's fair. I did rant at you a little bit, Grimbeard. So our little beef.
That's all right. As long as it's not hot beef.
Yeah, it's not Arby's. $9.99 from Evan Youssef. If ancient cultures embraced gender fluidity, why has modern society, with all its advances in science and psychology, regressed into rigid gender binaries instead of progressing past them? It's a fun little thing called white European supremacy. And they had strict societal norms, and therefore everyone should have strict societal norms.
Yep. Easy to keep people down when you can say, but white normal men are superior.
Yeah.
So like,
that's literally it. Colonialism.
$4.99 from Stacy 1904. I look forward to this show every week. I've learned so much, and emoji, I'm guessing. I really appreciate it now. Emoji, back to the monad. Hashtag Team Arden.
$4.99 from Godwin Absurdum. The more accepting a society overall is, the more accepting it should become, and the better it should be. Each generation should help the next. Yeah, it should. There's a lot of should. Yep. Agreed.
$6.99 of corporal assassination dollars from Maureen O'Hara. There was a transphobe on Rogan, and he said transgender, transsexual, and transvestite are the same, and he is an activist in Ireland. What the fuck? There was a transphobe. But you're saying he's a transphobe and he's an activist. So he's an activist against trans people. Like, that makes sense, right? That a person who's being an activist against trans rights is going to try to say that they're all the same.
And they were on Joe Rogan's podcast. Like, the bar is so low for people to go on that show.
Yeah, for real. You have a Twitter account and say transphobic things? Come on my podcast.
Right. You know who else has a podcast? I don't know. Somebody. There's something in my brain telling me that somebody I know has a podcast, but I can't think of.
I think it
definitely not Jimmy.
Does it start with?
Yeah.
Well, I was thinking it sounded like Jimmy, like maybe like Timmy Blow.
Yeah.
Timmy
Blow. Yeah. Timmy Blow has a podcast. That's his name now. Timmy. Whenever we talk about Jimmy, because we know Jimmy doesn't watch the shows. Whenever we talk about Jimmy here, his name is now Timmy Blow. It's our code phrase for Jimmy.
This is great too, because now we can be positive about Timmy Blow. We can be like, oh my God, I love Timmy Blow.
Yeah, he's like, Timmy Blow is like the better version of Jimmy. Like,
oh my God.
We're starting this.
Is this one you or me?
I don't know. I can read it. $5 from Stomp 10. Turfs should totally eat mayo. # Team Dr. Ben. Hey, everyone should eat mayo. And thanks for the vote.
Not
Katie's
like
not even
as
here
a meal
anymore to object.
Yeah. But like, sure, eat mayo. $5 from June Bramley. Lines, lively lining, lacy lasers, living laterally, literally. Left looping losers, left looking lacerate lingual lollipops. # Team Arden.
Nice, good job.
Thanks. I was like, all right. I started doing it slow, and I was like, nah, you just gotta commit, bitch, and to just let the chips fall where they may.
Yeah. $4.99 from Bodog. People freak out over puberty blockers, but let their 14-year-olds play tackle football, all risking CTEs. Just doesn't make sense. Thank you for all you do. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if you really care about children, stop letting kids play tackle football. Like flag football, go for it. Ultimate football, go for it. But yeah.
It's crazy too, because high school football is really, really big in like all of the South, like particularly Texas is my understanding, but I'm pretty sure it's like all of the South as well. So it's like all the people who are most likely to be like, I want to protect them kids from them transgender medicines are also like, but also I'm very okay with my son smashing his skull into another person, potentially gaining lifelong disadvantages cognitively. Okay.
Yeah.
$10 from Mo Scoville. Most of the net is bots now. It's going to get worse before it gets better, but I'm real. You are real. 100%. It may be a fake name, but I'm a real person. I promise. Great show as always. Great show, both of you. Always # Team Arden. Yes, I know Mo, and I know Mo's a real person. I got so much of it. I think most of the regular chatters in here are real, but anyone who pops in and just drops some like diss and then gets banned and just goes away, I'm like, you're a bot. Like, you may be a real person, but I don't care to distinguish between you and bots when you act exactly like a bot.
Yep. $10 from Aiden Swallow. Talking about the medical stuff, all I'd say is that since HRT is primarily for cis people, there's some hope for trans people. I'm VA and everything other than HRT is not covered now. # Team Arden. Yeah, it's a, I don't know. Hopefully it doesn't get like to where everything is banned, but we'll kind of see where it goes.
Yeah. I even saw this article the other day that was talking about that I think it was testosterone specifically could be like a really effective antidepressant, but they were like, due to cultural factors, hormones are currently contentious. And I'm like, yeah, curious. You mean there's blowback to just pretending that one entire category of medicine is bad because minorities use it? Who would have thought?
Right.
5 evil dollars from Olivia B. Just because I'm in Europe, so I cannot super chat troll this time. Love you guys. # Team Ben. # Team Josie always. Well, I'm gonna give the point to Ben.
Yeah, Josie's not even here, but it's fine. 5 pounds from Jessica Doodoo McButtface. Join the woke atheist cult. Our Lord and Savior Zerba will lead us to the one, the nothing, and the infinite monad. Hashtag Espeon sucks ass. Hashtag Team Zerba.
I'm going to assume Espeon sucks ass is
I
always
guess
a
it's
team
about-
for whoever I'm not.
Oh, yeah, anyone that's not Arden, that's fine.
Ascend. I love that these jokes are merging. It's so funny. 5 cashing a big $1 from Impish Misconception. Thank you for taking my call, and thank you for both of your advice today. Hashtag Team Ben. Thank you.
Thank you. Wow. $5 from June Bramley. The only monad that matters to me encapsulates state to ensure a pure and side effect free calculation. Hashtag Team Arden. Hashtag functional programming. Sure. Let's go with that.
I'm not entirely sure I knew what all those words meant in that order, but yeah, sure.
The monad.
I saw monad. That's all I needed. $5 from Mr. Borikotan. Okay.
Yes.
Hello, hashtag Dr. Ben and Arden. Missed the most of the show today. I've heard a bit of spice though, so it wasn't all bad. Hope it was a good day today. Thank you so much, Mr. Boricua 10. It wasn't really much spice, to be honest. All the people who I thought were going to bring spice were like, oh yeah, that makes sense. That's a good point. And then left it there. And I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. Thanks. Thanks for agreeing. Cool.
5 Canadian units from Fantastic Mio. I'm like trying to overthink the names. Thank you for all you do. Hashtag Team Ben. Thank you for your vote.
Oops. There was an R on
I was like, I love the 15R. Like, I don't know what 15R is.
15 really big points.
Really big points. I just like that monad sounds like gonad.
It does. People were making a bunch of gonad jokes. Like Monkey a Typewriter. Or was it Monkey? No, it was one of our other mods. I'm blanking on who did it. Sent one that was like, I lost my genitals, quotation, gonads, in an industrial farming accident, quotation, nonads. And now I'm getting them replaced, quotation, monads.
Yes. Monads, problems.
Or parentheses, not quotations. $10 from Tina. Hashtag Team Ben. Hashtag Team Arden because I wanna. That's our thing. You can't because I wanna. You're not allowed to have wants.
Timmy Blow will be so upset.
Timmy Blow.
He stole the name.
He's gonna be furious.
$5 from June Bramley. Ben, no, I'm not fence sitting. Ivysaur is the best, but I'm contractually obligated to vote 100% for hashtag Team Arden today.
That's
I mean,
right.
you do you. I don't know what contract y'all are signing.
Don't worry about it.
Clearly, Arden is making you sign something in order to.
Well, they couldn't tell you because there's an NDA with it too. So.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know what the whole deal is, but y'all are becoming warlocks with these packs, and then you're gonna end up in some weird. You're gonna get some weird powers. And
listen, I'm trying to compete with APAC. Okay, I want to have that level of influence on our society. $5 from Marceline. Behind this monad thing, would its crime syndicate backer be the monad triad? Hashtag Team Dr. Ben. Probably. Although. I don't know. Try might be a problem. Having other numbers competing with the 1 and also the 0.
You add more variables, and what do you do with it now? You can't.
And the thing is, 3 can always be divided by 1. No, it works. That's right, because 3 can always be divided by 1, so we're still always the 1. Got it. Saved it.
Yeah.
I got you, monad people. Don't worry.
10 Canadian dollars from Ayla Ursus, hashtag Team Dr. Ben, because they're my favorite trans man on the line. I mean,
I think you're the only
cool.
You're the only trans man on the line.
Exactly why they said it. I get the consolation prize.
Fair.
Participation trophy. Here you go.
$5 from Melatonin Ale. I got here so late. Hashtag blue for the girls. Hashtag Team Arden. Thank you. Yes, blue is a girl's color. True.
5 pounds from Jessica Doo-Doo McButtface. I'll have you know my psychiatrist said I'm not crazy or mentally ill at all. She even wrote it in big letters on my straight jacket to remind me. Wow.
Not
Ouch.
crazy.
Yeah, but was Growlithe there to save you? I don't think so.
Growlithe
Anyway.
burned her alive. Probably. It wasn't clear.
Yeah.
$5 LERP from Harder Gamer to my most favorite host. And what do you think about having a just political call-in show once a week on the line? Hashtag Team Ben. Yeah, that's something we've talked about a lot. We don't actually have like a specific show in the works, but obviously we do Cus I Wanna shows that are political sometimes, and we're starting a vertical streaming show over on, probably it's going to be on Jimmy Snow's channel. Timmy Blow's personal channel.
Timmy Blow.
And I think those are going to be political a lot of the time. I think they're going to kind of be whatever topic the hosts specifically want to do at the time. We are interested in getting in more of the political space though, because I know a lot of our audience comes from like Parker Get a Job and Dean Withers channels. I've seen those recommended a lot on our channel and that they came from those spheres. So yeah, I suspect we're going to want to get in on some of that. Also, thinking of like political TikTokers, if you guys didn't see the Cus I Wanna with Xena that I put together with Forrest hosting last week, Xena's also the shit and would love to have her on some of that kind of stuff sometime. So, yeah.
$10 from Winnie Shu. Greetings from the dystopian hell that is Texas. Stay safe, everyone. Hashtag Team Puppers. Hashtag Dr. Ben. Maybe I do need to grab the puppy.
Torture him for just a few minutes.
Torture him. Yeah.
It's your call. I understand not wanting to bother the puppy.
Yeah.
He's also a big boy. You can't just pick him up like you could.
I know. He's like 30 pounds now. It's wild.
Yeah, he's a growing boy.
He's big.
Growing lad.
And he's only 5 months. And he's like 30
That's
pounds.
Crazy.
Like, yeah, our DNA thing that we got for him is projecting him to be like 80 to 90 pounds. I'm like, holy shit.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I do love a big dog though. Like I've always loved like Bernie's Mountain Dogs. Like just a giant fluffy dog just laying on top of me is just like, oh man, that's like better than a weighted blanket. Like, yes. Lick my face.
Yeah, he's gonna be my
suppressed.
He's gonna be my trail dog. Like
Yep.
he'll be such a good like trail dog.
We've got $5 from June Bramley. I'd like to point out the Zorth Moonpaw has not sat on fences as of now, and there has also been no puppy. Hashtag Team Arden. Listen, you guys. We just discussed this. It's not always easy for me to show off the snakes too. Usually citrine is good, but most of the time the rest of my animals, like it'd be so difficult to pull them out and put them back. So it's hard. See,
Yeah,
Pride of
maybe
Society
next
knows Bernie's Mountain Dogs are so cute. They're just, it's one of those things where like there's more of a case for focusing on shelter adoptions for dogs than there is reptiles. I know people sometimes try to essentialize that mindset. It doesn't really make sense for reptiles, but it does make sense for dogs to be like, oh, adopt, don't shop. Most of the time. I don't think that's a universally applicable thing, but with like all my favorite breeds, Bernie's Mountain Dogs, Golden Doodles, you can't really get them outside of a breeder, and it makes me sad.
Yeah. Maybe if I win, I'll bring the puppy out.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah, there we go. Is this me? $5 from Haley G. Timmy Blow's podcast with Tommy Valkai is just 4 hours of monad talk, exhilarating stuff. Hashtag Team Dr. Ben.
Oh
yeah,
my
it's
God.
just Timmy Blow and Tommy Valkai going. I feel like there's a name we could rhyme with Forrest.
Yeah, well, Tommy Valkai is Forrest lore. That goes deep. So
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
yeah, that one has to stick. But honestly, I love Timmy and Tommy so much. It's really funny. 5 ego dollars from Nadia Yvette Chambers. I'm hacking Haskell in Berlin. Just got my identifications number yesterday and fixed Alex with impredicative types. Impredicative types. Saturday monad transformers for the win. Prost. Honestly, I don't know what a lot of this meant. I'm guessing
Something about
identifications. Yeah.
Something you got an ID changed or something? That'd be cool.
Yep.
If so, congrats.
Fixed Alex with impredicative. I don't know what impredicative is. Like, I'm blanking on exactly what that means, and I don't want to Google it. So tell me, chat. Tell me how stupid I am. I know you will anyway. $5 from Oh wait, no, I just did the last one. Sorry.
Oh, $5 from Sal Willis. Jimmy Snow has a podcast. Timmy Blow has a career in Hollywood and hosts a primetime TV show like Goofus and Gallant. # Team Ben. Yeah, Timmy Blow is definitely the successful one.
For sure. And $5 from Aiden Swallow. Espeon is absolutely the best. # Team Arden. Thank you. Timmy tried to shit on the shiny the other day, but then he went and bought a shiny Espeon card at this card show the other day, and he got it for me apparently, even though I don't really do Pokemon cards. But I was like, look at how cute that is. Like, the shiny Espeon is adorable in the artwork. It just kind of looks ugly in game. And he was like, no, that's correct. So just to be clear, Timmy Snow loves shiny Espeon.
Ooh.
With that is the last super chat. I think I have officially won.
So I guess y'all have to listen to the man now. You got to listen to me speak.
Drag Brunch National
That's
Holiday.
What you want.
All right.
Okay.
That one's not as controversial, I think. Drag Brunch.
Yeah, that's hard to defend. Like, I fully support this.
Well, you can just be all authoritarian about it.
Yeah.
All right, I think we are set. Let me pull away the scoreboard and let's get you set up. Charging up that clock for you in 3, 2, 1, go.
Imagine a world where there weren't just religious or nationalist holidays, and it was just wholesome things. I mean, Halloween is still wholesome, but we need more holidays for your mental health. And what is better for mental health than sitting at some gay bar while some drag queen is standing up there roasting everyone in the audience while you just eat your waffles and stuff. It's a great time. So everybody should have to have Drag Brunch National Holiday. Like, it should be a national holiday. Everyone has to have a drag brunch, and you get the day off of work, and you get the day after off from work because you're going to be hungover from your bottomless mimosas. Because if there's one thing queer people do very well, it's alcohol. So imagine how awesome that would be. And some more reasons why this is amazing. You could have drag bingo as part of your drag brunch. You could have karaoke as part of your drag brunch. Like, it's just there for a good time. And you could even have a kid-friendly one where the drag queens are reading books at the drag brunch. It is universal. I don't see any problems with this at all. And even better, if it's mandatory, so all of the MAGAs had to also do this, that would just be hilarious, seeing them walk in with their families to drag shows, secretly liking it, and then having to leave and then be like, yeah, no, I actually didn't like it, even though they completely did. And then they just have bottomless mimosas and Bloody Marys. So I think this is a great idea, and it's not restricted to any particular religion. So there you go.
Beautiful. Yeah, I can totally see conservatives being like, I hated it, especially because I was attracted to her and that made me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Well, with that, everybody, this has been another episode of TAC. This was a really good episode. Last week, a caller got the better of me and I crashed out. And I do feel like I was kind of justified, but I'm not happy with how effectively she got under my skin for something so stupid. And so I appreciate all the callers today, even the ones who disagreed with us, being really kind and receptive to conversation and understanding the nature of this platform. It's already unfair. It's 2v1, but everyone engaged very respectfully and honestly today, and I really appreciated that. So I hope we can foster more calls like that. And I welcome, if you are in the audience and you feel like you didn't like the answer you heard, I invite you to call back next week. We'd love to hear from you. Next week, it'll be Josie and Lux hosting here, but this has been Arden and Ben for this week. Remember, you can go over and support us on patreon.com/calltheline. You can get your name in the credits here. You can get access to ad-free episodes of The Line Has a Podcast. You can get access to monthly Zoom Q&A sessions, and you can get access to our new LineCon Online Live mini lecture series. So definitely get involved with that. We'd love to have you there, and it supports the show. We like you guys. We like you guys. We love you guys. We appreciate you so much, and we will see you all next week. Bye.